Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Success Inspiration Academy Entrepreneurs Chat. We're just a group of entrepreneurs meeting every weekday between 8 and 9 to discuss different aspects of business, different aspects of entrepreneurship, personal development, so that we can inspire and empower each other to reach the highest level of expression in our entrepreneurial calling. Man, so thank you for tuning in, guys. I mean, we discuss various topics here, to build your personal wealth, to build yourself as an individual. We discuss opportunities, we discuss so many different things. And thank you very much, guys, for joining. If this is your first time here, please join our WhatsApp group, Success Inspiration. The link is in the bio, the link is in my link tree. You don't have to worry about a lot of people posting because only admins can post, and we only post when we are going live, who we're going live with. We post resources from our contributors. So thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Gents, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing
Morning,
good,
everybody.
Henry.
I'm well.
All right, gents. So today we're just talking buying and selling properties. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, right? Buying and selling properties, commonly known as flipping properties.
Yes. True, that's true. That's true, Henry. I think it is actually the right time to talk about it when everyone is relaxed. Some of the people here are now relaxed at home without going through traffic. Yes, of course, some people still have to be working, but I think it's the right time to talk about it. Mostly is the end of the year, so if you want to get into this business by the beginning of the year, I think this is the right time, to learn and also to come up with ways on how am I going to get into this kind of business by the beginning of next year.
Awesome. Mpho, what are your thoughts? Is this the right time to talk about it? Did people make money? 2022.
Yeah, look, there is opportunities. I mean, in South Africa, everybody talks about rising interest rates, rising costs. Even in those times, there are opportunities. When you want to buy and sell a property, you want to go buy these properties. There's going to be a lot of those distressed post-COVID, post-recession that is probably we're going to have. So yeah, we will. There is a lot of opportunities.
Awesome. All right, cool stuff, gents. So when we talk about flipping properties, right?
Yeah.
Where do we start? If you want to talk about, all right, I want to get into the business of flipping properties. So I'm assuming the goal here is to make a profit after you've actually sold the property. Is that it? So this is not for rental. This is not for anything.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's about you trying to raise maybe capital, or maybe you want to try it the first time and you want to see if this works out. And maybe I'm telling you, if you started once, you try it second time, you're never gonna stop. I mean, you're never gonna stop. You will always be looking for opportunities around. Yeah. So yes.
All right. So, Mr. Vhuronga Holding. So that's what we're talking about. It's just buying, then selling at a later stage. It's not about investment or anything. This is what we're talking about today.
Yes. There's a bit of a difference between if you're going to be buying a property, and then you're maybe going to rent it out and just buying a property to sell. The big difference is that when it comes to a property to rent, also it will depend on whether you bought it for cash or you bought it on credit. If you bought it on credit, then it will also mean that you still have to pay the bond, and also out of that, you need to make sure that the rent that you're receiving is more than the bond that you're paying. So then you can calculate how much you're going to make per year. It's a bit secure. Maybe that's what you want. You don't want to be involved much. You just want to be receiving your rent. But when it comes to flipping properties, you get a property that is distressed and then buy it for a certain amount and find a buyer who will then buy that property from you for a higher amount. You talked about Mr. Mkhata talked about the situation now where their interest rates are going up and all those kind of things. I spoke on one of the radio stations 2 years, 3 years ago, before COVID, I believe, and actually just after COVID started and the interests were going down, and people said, "Is this the right time to buy?" I said, the challenging part will be if you buy with a very low interest rate and you can afford it, then the interest will go back to normal after COVID, and that will affect you financially, and you might want to sell your property. So that's where this so-called distressed properties come from. People are now starting to fail to pay their bonds, starting to feel the pinch, and some of them are thinking, you know what, this was a bad idea. I want this property to go. And that's where the guys who want to buy will come in and then buy the property for that amount that is offered and be able to sell it to somebody who can then be able to afford the installment at a later stage. So that is what this business is all about. And also helping these people who are now distressed to get out of the stress that they're going through. You're helping the buyer, you're also helping somebody else who wants a property. At the same time, you're also making money yourself.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. No, it makes sense. I guess there was someone asking about what do you mean distressed lucid cape, and I guess you did answer that question to say that this is someone who's under a lot of pressure to sell quickly. So it's basically a fire sale, right? So it's a fire sale. I mean, we also see. Okay, maybe Mr. Mpho, you can also talk about some of the scenarios where you have seen personally where you have actually got an opportunity to actually buy, these, distressed properties or fire sales and the likes. I know Mr. Tshilidzi mentioned about someone failing to pay their interest and bond and all these things.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not just about distressed sales. You find that properties underpriced. You do make an offer on those properties. Sometimes you look at deceased estate properties. You find that they need to have this property sold. It has nothing to do with it being repossessed by the bank. Now they are looking for someone to just take over the property. So the opportunities are always there. So in some instances, you find that someone is selling a property and underpriced. I'd buy it easy instead of having to, and then I can renovate it and sell it for a higher price. So it's not just about these fire sales or maybe these distressed properties. Opportunities are there. Some people sit on website like Property 24 and they're looking for opportunities. The issue is you need to know your area, what they sell for. So if you're looking for opportunities, you sit there, you hunt for it. It takes time sometimes. You look for these opportunities, and then you are also able to negotiate. So remember, distressed properties in many instances, you find that you'll have an issue with going into that property and all those things. But you find that you can actually go and make an offer to an owner and you've negotiated a very good price, and then you are able to flip and maybe buy it and sell it over to somebody else. The nice thing about it is it's not time conscious. So you can easily buy a property today and sell it to somebody else tomorrow, even before it gets registered to your name.
Wow. Wow. So no, I hear you, man. I mean, there are so many different things there. As you say, deceased estates, a house that's just underpriced. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
things happening. I mean, there are people
Yeah.
moving out of the country. There are people
Yeah.
going through divorce who just want to liquidate assets. There's a lot of things
Yeah.
happening. But I
Yeah.
guess the important thing, what you guys are saying, is you need to know. All right, you need to
Yeah.
have the education, about
Yeah.
how these things actually work, right? So that you are in the game. Um, so let's talk about, how you guys started. Because some people are asking here, how do you start? How did you start, and what sort of what did you have in place to actually enable you to start buying your first property?
I'm going to talk about what I first started. I mean, I had a house. You know, sometimes we buy houses to live in, and you're thinking, okay, I've got an investment property. This is where I live in, and then you find that actually the value doesn't grow as much. So, and I remember when I said to my wife, and I said, listen, we are selling our house. I sold my house, um, my first house that we had, and then that's how we started. Of course, it needs a lot of money to be able to buy the first house, and that's what we did. We sold our house, went into a rental house, into a rental property for a specific time, and then we bought the first house. I remember the first house I bought in Soweto, in Protea Glen. I got it for 250,000 rands or 225,000 rands. I think I don't remember. It was a 2-bedroom house. And then a day later, I had a buyer for 350,000 rands. And I'm like, this is
A day
amazing.
later.
So a day later. So, and I had not done nothing on the house. I mean, I literally I took possession of the house on the same day. And then a day later, I had a buyer who was willing to pay 350,000 rands. So that's how I started.
That's crazy, Mr. Tshilidzi.
No, look, with me is a different story altogether. I'm an accountant, as you know, and I happen to know Dr. Korombi, our chairperson of the company, Manda Ashu. So he invited me to talk to his 20 plus investors who want to invest in properties. And I was there to talk about formalizing the business. You know, what kind of business? Do you want a stock file? Do you want a company? Do you want partnership or what? So in that event, obviously, I have met Mukhetwa already. We have bought a property with him. And I'm also having a property that I was renting out. So in that instant, I also wanted to be part of the shareholders of the company that we were starting. And I became a shareholder. So it's a company of around 20 people where we invest money into the company. And after investing money into the company, then we go and buy properties cash. The reason being, these are people who are on their own capacities. They are landlords. They have properties that they're renting out and all that, but they still want to work with others to be able to buy and sell properties. Mr. Mukhetwa also came in there. So what we do is we combined capital enough to be able to start buying properties, and we are still contributing regularly into the company, but we are buying and selling properties through the company that we formed. So it's a formal business with shareholders, with directors, and everything that you know that a company should have. And we are buying and selling properties for cash. You know, yes, in the future we may think of credit, but right now I think we are still being able to buy and sell for cash. That is not Vhuronga Holdings. That is a separate company where I'm with Mr. Mukhetwa, Dr. Korombi, and other shareholders and directors. So that's how we do. We're doing business with this business, flipping properties business currently. So we are buying and selling as a company. So our scenario is a bit different from Dr. Mukhetwa, which is also good for the listeners or the viewers to see that, you know, you can start these things differently in different scenarios, and it's not just you working alone. You can work with a group of people, but there's a lot of formalities needed so that we can trust each other. We can have rules and regulations. What I always say, Henry, is that the companies that you see that are international now were started by a group of people. So if you want to also
So true.
go big, then why can't you just ask other landlords or other property flippers and join them and then work together as a group so that you can have more power, more capital, more knowledge, and all that. You know, we have estate agents inside. We have people who are in marketing, people who are in all these different institutions, doctors of education. So you have all these people in the one group, sharing information and sharing knowledge, and being able to run with the idea of selling and buying properties. Thank you.
Wow, man. Wow. Yeah, that's so powerful, man. That's so powerful. And I think I was talking to Cam Architecture. He's here on this thing here. And I think it's one thing we're talking about, with regards to combined capital, combined capital, combined, intellectual resources, amongst like-minded people, So I think, we want to have you guys to come and talk about that, right? About that, the power of coming together as people. Obviously, the biggest underlying thing, the good faith, is just saying formalities, trust. All these things are very important. But I think that's how you build wealth, right? That's how you go far. They say if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And we need to find out how these things can actually work. But those basics need to be in place. So I think that's very powerful. Some Mpho, some for someone, I think you mentioned something very important in terms of when you started with regards to taking possession, right? So you said that this could happen. I mean, you said you took a possession of a property, the next day you were selling it for 300,000, like 100,000 rands more. How does that work, practically? How does that work in terms of when you say to this person, okay, I want to buy this? Is it just that there was an offer which was accepted, an offer and acceptance? How does this work, sir?
Yeah, Henry, when I bought it on auction, the property. So it is important. It is absolutely important that when you go and buy these properties, you do your research. You do your search. You do not just go there and make an offer or go look for a property and go to an auction. I've done that. I've actually bought another property in Soshanguve I had not seen. And I remember I was at the auction and the gentleman said to me, "No, there's a nice house." I went and bid for it, and I get there's no house. There's just a shell.
Sure.
So it is important that you do your search, you do your research, you check, and before you buy, you go look physically to see if there is any risks that you can find in that property. So at the time when I bought it, this house was sitting empty. So I literally was after I bid for it and I won the bid, I paid for it. I went and looked. I went to get a locksmith, opened up the house. So obviously I took possession of the house. So when you buy these houses, especially when it comes to selling execution, and these are bank repo houses, one of the condition is you can take possession of the house at the fall of the hammer. So at the time you pay for it, the fall of the hammer, the house is yours. The risk is yours, the benefit is yours. So if you find that there are people squatting in the house, they are your problem. If you find that the house is owing a lot of money when it comes to rate and you always and make sure that you are protected against all those risks. And also,
Wow,
I
man.
must also add, Henry, what Mr. Tshilidzi was talking about regarding the combination of capital. I mean, I remember when I met Mr. Mabungu, after years of not seeing him, I was riding my bicycle, and then he was jogging, and I'm like, "Hey, brah, how long? I haven't seen you in a long time." And he says, "No, we've got this company. Remember, I'm doing this by myself. We got this company and we are doing flipping." I'm like, "Dude, I have to join. You have to get me in there." Because, I need to emphasize, I've been doing this by myself. And having a group of people like-minded, wow. I was like, I need to join you. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's so amazing. That's so amazing. And wow, it's amazing, man. It also shows, guys, go out there and jog, go out there and get a bicycle. You never know what can happen. You never know who you can meet. Get a hobby, man. You can't just be stuck, going to work, coming back, just doing the same thing. Mr. Tshilidzi was at the gym the other day. Go out and do something, hey? Do what you have to do, but very powerful, very powerful. So, and, I mean, and we're going to have to talk about this. I don't know. Maybe let's talk about it tomorrow. I don't know. But anyway, um, you spoke about the issue of auctions. So, one of the places you can get these, distressed properties, are auctions, right? And you
Yeah.
said so. So practically, what happens like at an auction? Is obviously the bidding happens and all these things. So are you saying so would you already have the list to say that okay, there are these houses which are going to be on this auction? Maybe the whatever blue bank or the green bank or something is having an auction. Do they state where do you even find the information that there's going to be an auction happening?
In many instances, look, for a house to be repossessed, it's a process. Firstly, it takes a long time. So you find that there is what they call the government gazette. So when a house gets to be repossessed, they inform the owner and the public. It needs to be a known, because it's a legal process that happens in that case. You can go to any sheriff's office. They will give you a list of properties that are selling in a specific area. So each area will have the sheriff there. They are the ones that are selling properties on behalf of, which are called sale in execution. And there are websites that you can find like SA Sheriff, which you can subscribe to. You will get the information on the houses that are selling the whole of South Africa. It's not just here in Johannesburg or Kempton Park or whatever. The whole of South Africa. So there is information available for public
Oh, is that
for
like
people to
I'm
be able
seeing
to
this
get
is
it.
the one sa.sheriffhq.co.za.
Correct. Yes, that's the one.
SA
Yeah.
Sheriff listings 400
Yeah.
plus new auctions per week. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of houses. I mean, previously there used to be a lot more than that, sometimes 600 to 800 in the areas in South Africa. So there's a lot of properties that you find in these. But besides, what we do is we don't wait for that, because they will only advertise a property that goes on auction 2 weeks before, or maybe 2 to 3 weeks before. We've already done much of the work. I mean, we've gone to gazettes, we've probably gone to the owners of the house, and we've already discussed a sale for the house. By the time it goes on auction, it's those people who probably don't want to do business with us. But in many instances, we don't wait for that time to come. We've already engaged the owners. We've already spoken to whoever is the owner to say, can we buy the house from
So
for
how do
you?
you find out before the auction process?
We'll go to a gazette. It get gazetted by the
Oh.
government. Yeah,
Wow, wow. I mean, you guys are in the game. You're not guessing.
yeah.
That's the thing, man. You have to be in the game, man. Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. You have to be in the game. Someone is asking Mr. H.14. It's sheriffhq.co.za. Sheriffhq.co.za. So you talked about, you know, okay, tell us what happened to the other house then where there was nothing, that auction. What happened?
I bought it for 114,000 rands, and then I fixed it. I'm not the one person who goes and decide, okay, I'm walking away from a deal. I decided, okay, we go do it. Just after
Also,
I
so what,
finished
the house
fixing
was
it,
there, but it was dilapidated. What was going on there?
yeah, there were no windows. I mean, in Soshanguve, anything steal, they steal. So they stole the windows, they stole the copper wires, and they stole almost everything. So, but the nice thing is, it was a solid structure. So I continued. I put the new windows there. I put new copper wires. There was an extensive renovation that we did. Unfortunately, by the time we were ready to put it on the market, then I realized why the property had issues, because it had issues with the sewage. So unfortunately, I had to hold it for about 3 years to try and deal with the issues with the municipality, to try and
Wow.
it had sewage issues. So I rented it out, and then eventually I sold it for 390,000 rand. So yeah, it's yeah. All I can say is that by the time you buy a property, you must be able to make money on the day you buy it. I don't, and I personally don't believe in people buying houses on and on new development and thinking I will make money in 10 years. I don't want to wait for the 10 years. I want to be, if I get into trouble today, I buy it today, and tomorrow I'm in trouble, I must be able to sell it at the profit. And that's how I believe it.
Wow, man. Lady Poppy, good morning. Mpho, Lerato, thank you for the gifts as well. Business consultant, thank you for sharing. Guys, let's share the live. It's like I'm seeing your request, guys. We are going to accept requests. Everyone requesting, we are going to accept. Just hold on there. Mr. Tshilidzi, have you dealt with a situation where, because I saw this issue on, it was in one of the papers, right? Whereby this couple, I think they bought a house, almost 1 million, at an auction, in one of the banks, only to find out that, as you spoke about the issue of squatters, I think the family of the deceased, was saying, this is our house. We are not going anywhere. And they spent years like trying to evict those people. What mechanisms do you have in place, Mr. Tshilidzi, in your organization to deal with such issues?
Fortunate enough, we have people like Mr. Mukhetwa. We also have other people like your architect, your agents, and all that, who are working with us. So, as Mr. Mukhetwa indicated, usually when you want to buy a property, you will go in and talk to. Because one thing that we did when we started this Manda Ashu company was to avoid a situation where we repeat mistakes that others have made. So now if you are with people who already know the situation, they will say, you know what, this property is going to give us problems. We sit down, we talk about the property. No, guys, let's look at this property. Let's avoid situations. Yes, but then it's not really that all the time we get it right. Sometimes you'll find that you still have issues with the bank that you're fighting with, because if you are going to take out a property, because sometimes we take out a property that is on auction, already on auction, is going to go on auction. We go and say we have an offer on this property, we have agreed with the owner, then we no longer want this property to go on auction. So then now your lawyers have to communicate with the bank, they have to communicate with the auctioneers and stop the whole process. So sometimes in that situation you may come across hiccups, but we do overcome those. To a process where you go and buy a property and there's an owner inside who don't want to move out, we go to the properties. Like Mr. Mukhetwa indicated, we don't repeat the mistake that Mr. Mukhetwa has already gone through, where you buy a property that you don't know. We go 3, 4 of us or 5 of us, go view the property, interview the occupants, the owners, see who owns the property, and after doing all the due diligence, then that's when we start the process of buying, because we have to be accountable to our shareholders also. You don't want them to be discouraged. You need to be able to be making money for them. So we have not really come across that, because already we have people like Mr. Mukhetwa, Dr. Korombi, and another thing, we are dealing with landlords. The shareholders are landlords. They've been through this before. So yeah, but then one other thing that Mr. Mukhetwa did not mention on our issue of, me jogging and him on his bicycle, we were looking for properties in the process. While you're jogging, you'll come across while you're jogging, and you have seen this, if you jog around a residential area, there are these properties where you can see that the owners here have moved out maybe days ago or months ago. And even if you check, you will see that, no, man, this property might be on sale, or it's written that it's on sale. Who is the owner of that property? You need to find out that information. You need to see if you can be able to buy that property for a certain price. And sometimes I have a property that is not being bought for years, and I'm sitting with that property. Then we will approach and find out. And we'll also talk to our agents, see if in that area we'll be able to sell for a profit and take it from there. So we were also hunting properties in the process of jogging. So jogging can be a process of looking for properties.
Wow, man. It's Lady yeah, so Lady Poppy, as you say, men can multitask too, man. Men can multitask too.
Yes, we
Contrary to
can.
popular opinion and belief. Yes. So Mr. Mpho, ne? So you mentioned that okay, so let's just go back. So okay, we're gonna talk about this. You mentioned that you buy a property, you make money when you buy a property, not when you sell a property. Before we unpack that, tell us when you bought that first property that you later sold for 300,000 from 200,000. So you said you buy it at an auction. So do you already have the money? Were you doing cash, or do you already have some sort of guarantee from your bank? How does this work practically?
It's always better to get your ducks in a row. I mean, at the time when you're buying at the auction, they will ask you for a 10% deposit. You pay the sheriff commission, so you do your numbers at the time before you even try and make an offer on the property. So yeah, I was ready to I paid the deposit. I was ready to come up with the rest of the money if I did not have the buyer at the time. But I didn't even need to go and get the bond because there was someone who actually took over and got a bond for me. So literally, I only put up the deposit and the sheriff commission, and then I went off. I sold it off to somebody else. So in essence, what I'm saying is, I only put the capital a little, the amount where on the day of auction, and then the rest of the money was financed by somebody else, and then I took off my capital, my profit.
Wow, talk about other people's money. OPM, that's what they mean when they're talking about OPM.
Yeah.
Other people's money. So tell me, but what did you have in place with regards to actually advertising the property on your end and getting that buyer which you got the next day?
So are you asking me what did I have? I mean, all I
No, no.
had was
So how
yeah.
did that other person know that? Were you already advertising that property on your end?
Oh,
How did you get the buyer
oh.
so quick?
Remember, I've been selling houses. So as an estate agency, I already had buyers who were lined up for the property. In many instances, when we make a move on a property, we already have a buyer. We know
Also, you're
there are
already
buyers
selling and
there.
advertising the property before the
No,
auction.
I wasn't advertising. I wasn't advertising that one specifically, but I was already advertising others. So we keep
Oh, so you know who's in the market.
yeah, I know who's in the market. I know whenever someone makes an inquiry, we put it in our diary. We know whenever we're looking, and we do pre-qualify our people. So if someone wants to buy a property, they need to be pre-qualified. So by the time we look, we know. I'm just gonna make a phone call to Henry. Henry, come buy this property, and that's the end of it.
Awesome. Okay, gents, before we accept requests here, Mr. Tshilidzi, Mr. Mpho, you're gonna unpack, or Mr. Tshilidzi, you can also pitch in as well. What does it mean when we say we make money when we buy the property, that's when we make the profit? What does it mean, and what do we look at so that happens?
So what I do, I will firstly check that specific property that I'm looking for, what it would sell for if I am to buy it. For example, when you buy a new development, you buy it at the value of the house. You buy it, the value of the house is R1,000,000, that's what you're paying, you're buying the house. So you'll only be able to get your profit in 5 years, perhaps, or in 2 years, or in 3 years. I believe that with my philosophy is, at the time I'm making an offer on the house, I must have made money. I must buy the house below the value, so that if it happens that tomorrow I want to sell it, I must be able to do that. So I don't believe in having a house, buying a house, and then hoping that I will be able to get appreciation on the property of 10%, perhaps in 5 years or in 10 years. No, I don't want to have that. I want to be able to go in case I want to sell it. I want to be able to make money. So that's my philosophy, and that's how I believe we should be able to do it.
Wow. No, that's also Mr. Tshilidzi.
Talking about that, Henry, you need to be sure that whatever you're buying, at the end of the day, if you were to sell it tomorrow, you will get something back. You'll get some profit out of that. You have to take into consideration everything. You know, there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration, and then make sure that when you are done with that, because when you see a property, yes, of course, it may be costing a certain amount, but then you need to have experts who know how much, or you can be able to check that how much are the other properties in the area for the same rooms. If it's a 2-room house, how much are they selling in the area that you're buying from? And if you were to sell this tomorrow, will you then still make a profit out of this? Whether you're going to use this property for rental purposes or you're going to use this property for staying purposes, but when you no longer want this property, will you be able to sell it and make a profit out of it? You know, I think that's what Mr. Mkatwa is talking about.
Awesome, gents. Thank you very much. We're going to accept requests now, and we'll get things going. Right now. Let's hear what's going on. Tobekile, how are you?
Morning, how are you?
Good. Hey, I saw you requested early. Yeah, sure you're excited about this topic.
Yes, I am. I've been waiting for this opportunity.
Okay,
Morning
you
to
can ask.
everyone.
Cool stuff.
Morning,
Yes.
Tobekile.
I bought a property in 2017 at Cosmos City for 780,000. It's a 2-bedroom. I bought it cash because I got the money from the RAF compensation. But then I bought the property under my mom's name. So the title deed is under my mom's name because I was still in the process of getting married, but now I'm divorced. So now I want to ask if I can use this property to raise income for myself. For instance, I want to flip it, but also gain profit from it. Is it a wise idea for a person my age? I'm 30 and unemployed.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. I mean, if you want to, firstly, when you sell it, you must know what you are going to do after you bought it. It doesn't help selling the property and then not knowing what you're going to do. You need to be able to understand that the money you get here, you must be able to put it into another property. I think it's always better to but before you even put it on the market, have a clear understanding of where you want to. There is opportunities in Cosmos City. I do know I've bought properties in Cosmos City as well. So yeah, I think there are opportunities. You just have to know what you want to do before you even put it on the market. Because I know that if you put that house on the market in Cosmos City, you will probably get a buyer very fast. It's one of those very high demand areas.
So my other question is that, is it safe to turn a home, because this house is like a home to us, into a business? Because my mom always says instead of flipping it, rather build rental rooms and then make money from it. Which one is
Yeah,
more wiser? Because I heard you talking about this waiting for 10 years to start seeing profit, and it's also not working for me.
Yeah, I think if you've got the money to put up rooms in your house, then do it, because you are increasing the value of your house, of your property. In the meantime, say for example in 10 years you want to sell it, and you are also gaining income from the property. So if you can do that, yes, rather keep the house and then put up rooms. And the only thing is you're not going to have inconvenience of living with other people in your property. So those are things that I have to consider. But it's still a good thing if you do not want to sell. I don't know with what Mr. Mabungo thinks about it.
Okay.
Toby, please tell me, how much did you buy for the house for? Like the time you bought it, how much was it?
It was 780.
780. How many bedrooms?
It's a 2-bedroom.
It's a two-bedroom house. So it also depends. A two-bedroom house, you bought it for 780. So you if building rooms is an idea that you would go for, I think it can be good because then now you're talking about a property that the family is staying in. It's not like a property that and for old people also, your mom, if she's in there, building rooms around the property is a good idea, but that does not stop you from getting into the business of buying and selling properties, because you are saying that you bought this property cash, right?
Yes.
Yes. The other thing that you should think of is that it's bonding the property. What I mean by bonding the
Refinancing.
property, bonding the property is where you say to the bank, I own a property in Cosmos City. My property at this moment can sell for maybe 800,000, for example, and I want you to give me 800,000 cash.
I have a bit
They
of a
give you it,
problem regarding that.
but with that, yes, because of you are unemployed.
Mm. And the person
Then
that's
build
employed is
rooms.
my mom, and she's against that idea. She always says, what if it ends up being repossessed?
I understand older
Well,
people are risk
that is a very
averse.
important, yeah. Yeah, I think besides, truth be told, it's important that you all consider those facts because it's a home. It's where you could
It's a
find
home,
yourself
yes,
making mistake
true.
of, yeah.
But sir,
But I wanted to ask Tobekile, what's the plan? Like, what do you like? What's the long term plan? If you're saying you
my
want to
long
flip the house, sell the house.
my
Mm.
okay. When I got divorced, we sold our house that we used to stay in, me and my ex-husband. So I've seen that selling property does make money. So my long time plan is to sell this house because my mom is speaking about moving and looking for her own space due to the fact that her work is far. But then the problem is she doesn't want to allow me to use this property as a way of making money for myself in the long term because guys, I think you know that when you've been in an accident, you're no longer as good as you used to be. And my fear is that what if in a long term I won't be able to do anything for myself? So let
Okay,
me
okay,
start now.
all right.
But her
So if
fear
you,
is
when you
no,
sell
let's
the
secure
house,
the
let's say you
home.
sell the house, ne? Let's say you sell the house, and you get
Mm.
1 million. What do you want to do with that 1 million? Is the question.
Look for another property.
Then you start buying it. So
Flip.
you want to
Yes,
start
flip.
buying and selling properties. That's what you want to start
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
Okay, but what? Your mom doesn't want you to lose this property.
Yes. She says it's a home. Make it a home. Keep it.
But this property is in your mom's name.
Yeah.
Why
She
don't you
says she
work on
can
getting it
transfer.
into your own name?
She said she can transfer it to me if only I won't do what I'm saying I'll do. But if I say
Yeah,
I'll
but I
flip,
think I
then no.
think I think your mom, does she have other kids?
No, I'm the only one.
All right, yeah, because hey, it can be a disaster, hey. Because when you look at things such as inheritance, wills, and I think just work on getting this house transferred in your name as soon as possible. I don't know what you guys think because you know what, if something's not in your name, I mean, what can you do? What do
Yeah.
you guys just think?
Yeah, the property is your mom's, according to the books. It's not hers. Losing your mom may mean that uncle so and so can also come in
Hmm.
and then start talking about the property. It's my
Yeah.
sister's property. You will hear auntie so and so also getting involved. Yes, we're not really talking about now flipping properties, but we're talking about what really happens when a person has passed on.
In life, yes.
We do
Taxes,
know,
disease, taxes, all
yes,
these things. It's
yes,
very can be get
for her to
hectic, eh?
transfer this house to her is also going to be a process because house is going to go to her mom's estate, not her estate.
You have to work on that, Mr. Mpho. I don't know what you think.
Mm.
All right, cool.
Okay, thank you. I'll be
Yeah,
on
I
the
do think
comments.
that
Thank you.
yeah.
You were saying,
Thanks.
Mr. Mpho?
No, I'm saying what you advise. I think what you're saying is important. People must always consider whenever you put a property into somebody else's name, those are the challenge that you may have. They can decide not to even transfer the property to you. So what happens in that instance?
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's one of those things. But I think people must always consider these issues that you'd have. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
Tobekile, thank
you.
you very much. Thank you very much. Lady Poppy, I don't know if you're still there, but I'd accepted your request. Lawrence, how's it? Okay, I don't know if Lawrence, this was a mistake or what's going on, but hi, Matabo. Hello. All right, gents, can we just talk quickly about the tax involved when you're flipping a property? Hello, Mr. Tshilidzi, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm still here. I don't know if Mr. Mketwa is still here, and I'm seeing that we are losing people
Yeah,
who
I'm
just...
yeah, I'm still I got
Mr. Mketwa, you can attend to this one, then I'll add
yeah,
on,
no,
on what you're going to say.
Sorry, I could
Yes,
not hear what they said because I got cut off. I think there was network issue.
Oh, okay. I was asking about the tax implications of flipping a property.
We remember we buy in a company. I think Mr. Mabungu will actually explain that. I don't believe in buying a property in my own individual. So you do pay a company tax at the end of the financial year of the company. I don't do properties in my name. For simple reason that when you're buying, obviously there is tax implications. But I think Mr. Mabungu is an accountant. I've got an accountant who does that, but Mr. Mabungu will deal with that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. When a company does like what Mr. Mketwa is doing, if you buy and sell properties as part of your daily business, what that means is that you are not buying a property to accommodate your family in there. It's not a family house. You're buying and selling properties. So what happens is that you are going to declare your income and expenditure to SARS sorry, your financial statements to SARS at the end of the year, how many properties you bought, how many properties you sold, and then from there you're going to be able to pay tax according to what SARS will say. This is your tax bracket that you have to pay. So you are in the business of buying and selling properties. You are not in the business. You're not working as an individual, and where you will have to be
So
involved
it's
in
not
a
like
lot of...
capital gains tax. It's different. It's more of
It's
like,
not a capital.
okay, it's not
If you
capital.
buy a property, when there's what we call a capital gains tax, because now your capital, which is the property that you are using to produce income. Let's say you bought a property, for example, where you are manufacturing things inside the property. That is a capital kind of thing. That is a capital kind of property. So capital gains tax is the capital that I had of 1 million, which is my property. Now, when I sell it, now I ended up getting 1.5 million. So that is capital gains tax. But if I bought a property and sell it and then buy another one and sell it and buy another one and sell it, I'm in the process of buying and selling properties. I'm not in the process of making money out of that property. Maybe if we were saying we are renting out properties and in a later stage we want to sell that property, then we will be able to talk about capital gains
So
tax
that's
and all that.
less tax, obviously, than
we have to be taxed like any other company is taxed.
Okay, no, it makes sense. So capital gains would be like you bought your home where you're staying in, 10 years later, it's worth 500,000 more, they'll charge you capital gains tax on the 500K. But
Yes.
if I buy a property today for 1 million, sell it tomorrow for 1.5 million, the tax is high. It's like some sort of income tax,
It should be income tax. I'm buying and selling properties. I'm in the business of buying, because SARS also will want to prove and confirm that really this is what you do. It's not really something that you're just coming up with, And that is why Mr. Muketwa is saying he avoids buying and selling properties on his individual name, because that's where obviously if I'm buying a property as an individual, sometimes it may be seen as me buying a property to stay in, and where I'm going to end up selling that property at a later stage, and that will be capital I gained out of the capital that I invested in that property.
Awesome. Lucid Cape, how are you?
Hey, what's up, brothers?
Awesome, man. Any questions
Good.
for
How are
the
you?
gents here?
Cool, man. Thanks for the informative chat. It came at the right time because I'm in a bit of a thing. So I'll describe it to you guys as succinctly as possible. I've got 2 paid off properties to the value of approximately $4 million. One of them is the primary residence I stay in. But
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur. Due to COVID, things have gone bad, so my income is not that great. Now, I'm thinking of what is the possibility, what can I do with these 2 properties? I was thinking of flipping or whatever the case might be, but I don't want to lose the equity of the properties. So what I mean is I don't want to sell and then chow the money. I want to be able to sell, whether I go rent a small place or buy one small place, keep that equity to buy more properties or sell more properties, whichever way. What would you advise in that scenario, so that I don't end up losing my principal, but rather growing it over time? I'm not interested in almost rental properties. As you've mentioned, it takes too much to kind of, I'll be considering rooms. I could.
Yes. So in your situation, also rooms maybe another consideration, because even in the business that we are in, we don't really shy away from rental, because that is all sort of a steady income that you know that you're going to receive regularly. Unlike you flipping properties, because you can. It's not always that you'll have like a house like Mr. Muketwa's house where you buy a property today and then the following day you already have a buyer. Sometimes that buyer may decide otherwise and say, no, I don't want this property anymore, and then you wait for another 3-4 months without income. So also rental can also be another option that you can consider, but also considering selling the property to buy another one. In your situation, as you are saying that COVID affected you, it will be good to also consider the rental part. But what I'm very interested in is the fact that your situation and Mr. Muketwa's situation is almost similar on the way you are starting, as he indicated that he had a property and then he sold that property, he made a profit out of the property, and then from there he started and he continued. So chowing the money is not an option also, because chowing the money will mean then you have lost that capital. So I think Mr. Muketwa can be the best person to guide you on this, because he has been there, he has done it exactly the way you did it. Mr. Muketwa?
Yeah, I think, yes, I think what is important here is you just need to have a vision and know what you want to do with it. It's no use selling a property. Like I said, we were speaking to the lady, not knowing what next, So the fact is, you just need to know if you start the first step of selling and you get the money, where are you going to go? Are you going to go look for a property to buy? And look, there are properties available. And I always say, I remember when I met Mr. Mabungo and I told him, look, we can find a house today. The first trip we did, we were able to make a deal. Deals are there. It's just that if you do have the money to make deals, we can go approach those people who are distressed. If you've got the cash, you are able to negotiate easier. If a person agrees to it, you sign an offer to purchase, you pay for the house. It's that. You just have to know what to do, where to go, and how to find these properties. And by the time you do put it on the market, you must know what to do. You can't just put it on the market and then by the end of the day you're gonna start chowing that money. If the money has no vision, it's going to be used eventually.
And in truth, that is the paranoia, to be very prudent with what happens once that money is in cash and you're waiting for the deal. And what is the right deal? Is it going into flipping? Do you find a distressed home that's maybe slightly dilapidated, less price? You can do it up for a portion of the money, increase the value, put it back on the market, make a margin, whatever, depending on the property, 300,000, go back, look for another property. Like you say, my biggest fear is what happens if that property that we're trying to flip sits on the market for 6 months. Then your money, then your capital is locked in for 6 months and you're not getting any returns for it, or the market goes bad for whatever reason. But I guess it's the risk.
Yeah. We try and mitigate those risks. For example, I agree with you that it can take long. Firstly, if you're gonna go buy a house over 1,500,000 rands, it may take a long while to sell on the market. But if you go look for these what they call low-cost housing or affordable houses, they never get to stay long in the market. I also try, whenever I buy a property, there's 100 houses in the market in the area, or 10 houses in the area. I always underprice my properties. I ensure that I get it sold as soon as possible. So you need to, at the beginning, when you buy it, you must have negotiated so well that by the time you put it on the market, and whatever you've put in there, you are going to be able to make profit. It's not going to help putting a house, buying. You know what they always say? People go buy a property and they overinvest. You find that you've actually negotiated a very good price on the property, or you got it cheap at the auction, but you are also overinvesting, putting very expensive furnishings. These affordable houses, you don't need to put those things. As long as it's a habitable house and it's looking neat, it goes on the market. Those houses they sell very quickly in the market. I mean, I do remember during the recession of 2008, there was a lot of houses sitting on the market in these previously white suburbs. But in townships, there was a lot of movement. People were buying and selling houses. So it doesn't really matter. It always, people overlook what happens in townships, Henry. And I always say, I remember
That
when
was the other thing I was
an
going to
area like
comment.
Glenridge, when it was, yeah, you look at the area in Glenridge. Glenridge used to sell for 170,000 rands. Okay, go look at the house in Glenridge now. Same house, you'll get it for 650,000 rands. People used to think, well, I'm not going to go buy a house in Glenridge, but they are selling now. You put the house on the market, it goes. So please, people do not see the value in townships. There is so much opportunities in townships. A lot of value that you can make, a lot of money that can be made in townships.
One last question, which is all correct. It's within my thinking. One last question, if you don't mind. Now, with repossessed or auction houses, there's, I mean, as a novice or somebody who's not experienced, the idea is are you getting houses at discounted rates because they're repossessed and therefore being re-auctioned by banks and the likes, or will you end up paying a market value for that? Because my novice thinking is that, let's say somebody had a 20-year bond on it, they paid it for 15 years, it was left with 5. Let's say it's worth $1 million. Obviously the bank has to recover, obviously what's left of the principal and a bit of the commission. Are the banks selling them at market rate at that point, or am I guaranteed to say auction houses sell for less than market rate?
Sale in execution, you find that they are discounted for around 60%, 70% in many instances. So you do get a lot of value in those houses. Firstly, there is a difference between an on-site. The auctions that you see with boards sitting there, there's reasons why people sold those. Sometimes it's a deceased estate, and there is what they call a reserve price with those. Even with the sale in execution, there are reserve prices now. You find that there is actually a requirement. The property needs to be sold for a specific amount. Even though there are those reserve prices, there is a lot of value. You still can make your profit on them.
Okay. No, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the story is in it. The story is in doing your researches. Do your research. Do your research. Do your numbers. Do your research. You don't just go in. Do your research. Check around. Look at the rates and taxes. What the house is owing. Remember, when you buy in selling execution, you are responsible for the rates and taxes as well. If it's a unit, it's a townhouse, you are responsible for the levies. Whatever that is owing, you are literally buying the whole risk. So when you buy, you must know how much the property is owing the municipality, how much the property is owing the body corporate. So you should do all those researches before you even try and buy the property.
Perfect. Thank you for the great.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So talking about that, Henry, when he talks about rates and taxes, remember when you're selling a property of your own, maybe you're going to sell it through an agent and all that, you are responsible for the rates and taxes. The seller, you are responsible for the rates and taxes. So when we are coming in to buy property according to the way Mr. Mkhatwa is explaining, we take the responsibility for the rates and taxes. So in that situation, also the buyer, the seller, gets a bit of relief to say, no, now my property can go. I owe these guys so much at the municipality, and then these guys are going to take over that debt too. It's totally different from when you are yourself is selling the property, because the new buyer will not want to hear about your rates and taxes. You need to settle that first before the property is sold, and then you get your money. So that can also be an issue. If you are not going to be able to qualify for a loan or something to be able to get finance to pay your municipality bill, then that can be a predicament on your side. One other thing before maybe the next speaker, we are going to be having a master class this coming year on this. We are going to be having a master class on this this coming year. So there's a lot of questions that I saw. We could not answer all of them, but this master class will answer all these questions. We want you to understand the business when you're working as an individual, when you're working as a company. How then do you establish such a company? What are the mechanisms that you can use to be able to get into that situation? And also meeting with other business people who are in the same industry, so that you can maybe have a group of experts in the industry, people who have been there, so that you can be guided properly and be able to do this for real. Because we don't want this to end up here on live, TikTok live, and then that's it. We want to be able to change lives. I want to be able to make sure that you are now able to buy and sell properties. The problems that you are coming across, I'm still very interested in the lady from Cosmo City. What she talked about, if these types of master classes can be there, she can be able to attend, find ways on how to deal with the situation she's in, and get back to business, be able to make her own money while as she said, she's unemployed at the moment. Yeah, I think the master class is coming soon, and follow us, follow Henry. We will come back here and then talk about it.
Awesome, gents. And before we hear from Leto here, I wanted to find out from you, gents, if you also deal with architects, because I'm sure maybe some of these properties, they want to be redone and the likes.
Yes, we do have architects in our midst. So we do have architects in our midst. We have electricians. We have plumbers. Everyone is there. So when you are looking at a property, an architect will come in and say, okay, this is what I see. An electrician, this is what I see. An agent, no, this is what I see. So that everyone can then contribute, and then we come up with something that the board can work with.
Awesome, man, because I think we do have Ms. Cam Architecture here as well. I mean, he's a great architect, and he's part of the family here. So maybe you guys can connect as well and discuss one or two things.
True, very true.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. I just requested Cam Architecture to come on here. Happy if you RDAV works on some of these things as well. So yeah. Happy, how are you?
I'm all right, and you, buddy?
I'm super, man. I was just like, let me just take the opportunity to introduce you to the gents here, man.
Yes, yes. I've been listening.
Hi,
Yeah.
morning.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm all good, and you guys?
Oh, we're
Awesome.
good.
Awesome, man. So Epi is an
Yeah, I'm all right.
architect.
Thank you.
He's an architect out in 4 ways. out in 4 ways. So Ben, do you deal with some of these do you have like clients who are like sort of who are into this business of flipping properties, or have you worked with I don't know, have to be like, if the properties have to be completely dilapidated, to do these I only see these programs on TV, these American programs, I don't know, where they like, revamp houses, I guess.
Yeah. We've worked with them. We've done a couple. Which was some apartments in Joburg that we've done. In terms of flipping and just the client wanted to just do a simple in out. You know, not too much costs. So, like the guy said, you need to do your homework and make sure that you don't overvalue the property. What most people do is that you want to make it so fancy that by the time you take it into the market, the value, you just don't get the value. But then when it comes to units, I mean, we've done some of the Kasi units in Tembisa, Clayville, and Oliven, and those sell very quickly. You find that the occupancy in there, it's just very quickly done, and the client doesn't even have to wait. By the time they're done building, it's fully occupied. So there is a lot of business in the location when it comes to those things. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's awesome, man. So hey, hopefully you just get in touch, guys. This was a great session. Mr. Mukhetwa, Mr. Vhuronga Holdings, Tshilidzi, thank you very much for joining us. Joy, you can catch their website on
Thank
the
you.
WhatsApp group. Thank you, gents. Thank you for everyone who joined. Senti, our subscriber, much love. Thank you very much.